Child Care Aware of America over the last 3 decades has done so much work on behalf of children and families in quality child care, and we continue to build on that foundation, the foundation of quality care for kids and families, wanting to ensure that children are safe and healthy and nurtured in child care settings. And we continue to do that with the core part of our stakeholder group, being our members.
My name is Yasmina Vinci. I'm the Executive Director of the National Head Start Association, and I was the founding director of the National Association of Child Care Resource and Referral Agencies, now known as Child Care Aware of America. In 1987, the National Association of Child Care Resource and Referral Agencies was incorporated, and they were run by volunteers for about 5 years. In 1992, they managed to get a couple of small grants and decided that right after Bill Clinton was elected, that it was time to go to Washington without knowing anybody. Went and got a fax machine and a phone, put them in my kitchen, and that's how NACRA was born.
I'd say the most interesting part, I think, was in those early years there was no staff. Yasmina was the executive director, and she and the mouse in her pocket were doing all the work in DC. And so when you were on the board, you were a working board member, and we met and tried to put together the vision for the organization and actually then do the work.
The importance of being a part of a national organization and what it can do for childcare, not just in the large cities, but even in little places like Idaho.
It was with our president, Hal Kaplan. He's always had a great relationship with NACRA and Child Care Aware of America. He's always said it's very important to have that relationship both at the national level and because their reach is so wide with the resource and referrals across the country. So we've always realized how important it was to have that relationship at the federal level with them because they do such great work with families and children across the country.
I think what is so important about Child Care Aware is that it has roots in local communities across the country, and its members understand what is happening in child care programs, whether it's a neighborhood family child care provider or a child care center, every day. It represents the pulse of child care in America.
The field of early care and education has been changing over the last decade, both in terms of prominence and the science. I think as a result of that, there's been more partnerships. The advocacy has been stronger.
What I enjoy most about working for CCAOA is seeing the impact that we actually have on children and families, whether it's through the administration of our fee assistance programs, research, policy work, our consumer education for providers and families. It just makes all the difference in the world.
Children recognize good child care because they're happy to go to it at the beginning of the day. They look forward to it. They look forward to seeing their teacher and their friends. They look forward to all the different activities that are part of it, that are part of learning.
I've always said, since I've been working in early childhood, it takes 3 things to influence public policy. It takes data, it takes good stories, and it takes good research. And we have all 3 now. For a long time, we didn't have much in the way of research, nor did we have data. So when we filled in the data gaps, I think we began to make progress.
I really would like to see where childcare becomes synonymous, first of all, with education, that we're not fighting what seems like a false dichotomy between childcare and education. We work very hard to get policymakers and others to understand that those are one and the same if they're done well.
The data that I was able to obtain from CCOA was very important for my cause. It gave me the opportunity to be able to present that data to policymakers, legislators, and everybody that was influential in making my law happen. So it was very important to know those stats, to be able to show them and be able to use them in vital ways to help me get done what I was trying to do for the children in my state.
What's been great about the child care conversation is it really has been brought to the national scale. It's a bipartisan issue, and my hope for the future is that it continues to not just be talked about, but really that there's some concrete actions and next steps that Congress, the administration, and at the local level, communities take to really support working families so that they can work and that their children can succeed.
I hope that we can figure this out because I am a grandmother. I have 5 grandchildren, and I can see my children struggles to have quality care for them, how expensive it is, but at the same time I see that we don't pay our workers enough to stay in the field. So somehow there is a disconnect between the demand that we have for childcare and what the field has to offer. So coming from an outsider, being an outsider to all this, and knowing that other countries have figured this out, I have a lot of hopes that we could look at this in different ways and find different ways to serve our families, but at the same time create a workforce that is qualified and well paid. I'm not sure how fast that's going to happen, but I know it can be done. I've seen it, so I'm sure that it can be done.
We needed to shift our focus and really think about how we can inform states on what they're doing around health and safety for childcare, but also provide them with a roadmap so that they can see where they are and where they need to go based on best practices.
It's a much more holistic approach to the field. It's not just providing a place so that kids have somewhere to be while their parents go to work, but I think the child care business is going to have to become something that's more holistic in terms of the kind of services that are provided to families that address the family needs and address the children's needs at the same time.
The hope for child care and early childhood education is to have a field of professionals and individuals connected to early childhood education and child care that are respected for the very important work that we do. We know so much about the brain science and the development of young children, and we know that the individual adults, both parents and teachers, have a tremendous impact on how those children grow and develop the future of our country. My hope for early childhood education is that everyone is committed to that as we are here at Child Care Aware of America and many organizations across the country. Many of our member organizations are committed to this. If we see respect for the teachers of young children, if we see pay that reflects that kind of respect for our early childhood educators, that we see policies and investment by businesses and by legislators in early childhood education, I think we'll see a real difference, not only for our children today, but also for our world tomorrow.